to another internet business podcast on the Business Lifestyle Podcast channel with Tyrone Shum here. Today I've got a special guest, and his name is David Jenyns, and he's from Melbourne. So, hi David, I just wanted to welcome you on board today. David's going to be sharing a little bit more about what he does, and I actually stumbled across David through Facebook. Isn't that right, David?
Yeah, we started up a little bit of a dialogue through there, and we thought we'd connect.
Yeah, so it's a real honour to be able to have you on the call today, and I wanted to share with my audience today what you currently do and how you also live the kind of business lifestyle that a lot of entrepreneurs out there on the internet do. So maybe just give a little background for the people who don't know who you are, what you do and where you live, and how long you've been in this game for too.
Yeah, so I'm based down here in Melbourne, Australia, and I've been marketing online, I'd say, for the better part of 10 or 11 years now. First got interested it started way back when I first got interested in the stock market. A friend of mine at school was telling me how much money he was making, and just like a problem gambler, they only tell you about their wins. They don't tell you when they're losing money.
No way.
And I thought, wow, this is too good to be true. And when I finished school, I decided rather than going to university against the better advice of my friends and family, they said, you should be going to university. You've got what it takes to go really far. And I thought, no, I'm going to take out a $5,000 loan and go do a weekend share trading course to see if I can become a super trader on over the course of a weekend. But I very quickly realized that it takes a little bit more than that to get the stock market down and mastered. For one, you need to have a little bit of a trading float, some capital behind you. Unless you've got any money, you can't really trade what it is that you don't have. So once that happened, I realized, okay, well, I need to build up a little bit of extra cash. And being interested in the stock market, identified a little bit of a niche, I suppose. There was a charting package that a whole lot of people were using that they didn't fully understand how to use this charting package. It was called Metastock, and the particular trading community or group that I was a part of, a lot of them really just didn't know how to use it. So sort of joined up with another guy, and we created a home study course for it. And this is, that would have been back in about 2001. And we wrote this course, and it did really well, and it did well within our community. But we realised you can have the perfect product, but unless people know it exists, it's not really worth anything. So we had this product sold well in our immediate group, but beyond that, we needed to get the word out, and that's when I got interested in a lot of old school direct mail, and I got interested in some of the legends. Dan Kennedy, yep. Jay Abraham, some people here in Australia, Peter Sun, Mal Emery, those type of guys, and pretty much went down the path of learning how to write long-form sales copy and copy that converts. And then that really, I suppose, just evolved over online. I then thought I saw the internet as an opportunity to get that message out. So we registered a domain name, and I first then got introduced online to a guy called Ken Evoy, who's the guy behind SiteSell. And that particular program, it was all about generating fantastic content and value that pre-sells your product. So we put up a lot of material out there, and that actually ends up being good for SEO reasons as well. But he calls it the art of the pre-sell.
Okay.
And took all of that and started marketing the products online, and then that's how I kind of evolved into the internet marketing. And I think when I first got interested in internet marketing, especially in the stock market niche, we were very much on the cutting edge when we were coming out. Like, we were doing video, about 4 years ago now, online for promoting different products and services that we offered. Also, the way that we were bringing the direct mail and long-form sales copy that was converting really well back then, when we brought that online in our stock market niche, we were doing extremely well. We picked a very tight niche and quickly positioned ourselves as the experts. And then from there, we just started to build a product line. We've got built up quite a large database of clients, and just continued to run seminars and workshops, record them, turn them into info products. So that business sort of bubbled along on the side, and then being a little bit entrepreneurial, different things popped up along the way. I think another big sort of one of my big claim to fame, I suppose, was copycatting what a gentleman called Paul Hartunian did. He sold the Brooklyn Bridge in the US, and he wrote a press release and got some magnificent media coverage. I did something similar here in Melbourne, Australia, where they were doing some renovations on the MCG, and Australia is known to be extremely sporting, like we're a sporting nation.
Exactly.
So they were doing the renovations, and I pretty much just copycatted his idea, got a lot of the discarded carpet and wood, and ran a press release saying, Melbourne man sells the MCG for $24.95. Cut a long story short, got a lot of media coverage, and with all the skills that I picked up with the direct mail and online, funneled a lot of that traffic online to a website that we put up, and then obviously converted and sold some things. But there's been other bits and pieces we've worked on, got a rock and roll clothing music store, selling AC/DC t-shirts and Metallica wristbands and that type of thing. So very much a serial entrepreneur. We tried to set that store up as a franchise, so we've got all the franchise documentation done, and we actually a little while ago opened our first franchise in Melbourne CBD down here. And I suppose all of this has, just been bubbling along, and just recently, I suppose, because we've had some really good success online, especially in the stock market niche, which I'd say is a very hyper-competitive niche. Any of those make money niches are very competitive. We started to find a lot of people were asking how it was that we were doing what it was that we were doing. Because a big passion of mine, I love the stock market, but I also love marketing. I find it very creative, and it's a great outlet for me. And so when we had people coming to us, it kind of evolved, and it kind of became obvious with enough people asking. We thought, hey, why don't we set up a search engine optimization company? And that's just recently, at the start of this year, we launched Melbourne SEO Services, where we're taking what we were applying in the hyper-competitive niches and then applying it to localized local business, doing things like, Dentist Melbourne and ISO Consulting Melbourne, these types of phrases and terms that we can very quickly dominate, get very quick results for our clients, and getting some fantastic feedback for that as well. So really shifting my focus a little bit from the stock market stuff. I still very much run the stock market business, and that's how I generate a lot of my primary income. We've got a good following of clients, and introducing different products to them, doing product launches and that type of thing. But that's me in a nutshell.
That's pretty cool. It's quite interesting. Instead of taking the path going down, say, the university path and going down to get a job, you went down the entrepreneurial path to start up their own business to do share trading, or show people how to do share trading. And then since then, you've evolved into a lot of other businesses. How do you think your lifestyle's changed in that side, and what kind of things have you done because of the business that you've created there that's allowed you to have more time off, to spend more time with family, do the traveling? What things have you done with that?
Yeah, I think when I hear people and they talk about the 4-hour work week and that type of thing, I think there's probably about 1 or 2 people who actually really live that dream. I think Yaros Tarek is one of the people who I know who does really embody and embrace that. Whereas I think for me, what I got out of things like the 4-hour work week and the way that I structure the time that I work, it's more about working efficiencies. So making sure that what I am doing, I'm getting the highest leverage for the time that I'm putting in. So as much as I know a lot of people paint this very sexy picture of the internet dream and lifestyle of, sitting on the beaches, cashing your ClickBank checks and not having to do any work, I think anyone who's really successful in any endeavor put in a hell of a lot of work. I know you look at Frank Kern, and he really does position himself as the ultimate slacker. I mean, they came out with a course called The Underachiever.
Exactly.
And having sort of spoken to quite a few people, they all say that he is, when he's focused and he's working on a project, he works extremely hard. So for me, what building this type of business has meant for me, there is certain levels of freedom, and the way that we're trying to structure my business. When I first started out, I didn't have a project manager on who handled a lot of my affairs, and I was directly dealing with a lot of our assistants, which meant my time was spent just delegating tasks. And I wouldn't actually get any work done really, because all I was doing was delegating all of these tasks. And the next evolution for me was to then get someone to plug in and be the conduit between me and the assistants, where I let them know, right, here are the projects that we're working on, and then they handle through the execution and the management of those assistants. So once that happened, that kind of freed me up, and I think probably over the last few years particularly, I've probably done more travel in the last few years than I've ever done. I'm trying to travel, a good 3 and 4 times each year to everywhere from the States to Vanuatu to, we've got a trip coming, a month-long trip coming up to Malta. Now, it took a long time to build to that point. Like, I'm taking the longest break for me, which is I'm having 4 weeks off next month, and we're going over to Italy. But while that's happening, having built everything up, now that'll take over. But when I'm here and on the ground, I work extremely hard. Like, I do work 5 days a week. Probably about 2 of the days will be from 9 till 6, and then the other 3 days of the week will be from 9 till 10. And they're big long days. As I get towards the end of the day, I become less efficient. But usually, the way I'll structure my day, I'll make sure that I'm working on the most important, highest priority stuff early on in the day. And then when I get to the later part of the day, it's about answering email, jumping on Twitter and engaging with people in the social media space. So, as much as, like I was saying, a lot of people paint that picture, I work very hard, and it's something I think I'll continue to do, whether or not that's just the way that I operate. I enjoy getting in there and being a part of it. I do like to disconnect, so this break will come up. I'll try and disconnect for that period, but when I come back, I'll be working, back into the thick of it.
Oh, that's good, man. I think it's exactly what it is, and what you've said is honest and a truthful thing, because I think a lot of people have that misconception of internet business people or internet entrepreneurs are living that kind of lifestyle of the 4-hour work week. Some people do, and depends on how they want to structure it. But I think at the end of the day, if what you do is your passion, it doesn't really become work. It's more or less something that you enjoy doing to keep you going. Because if you just sat around and did nothing and you travelled all the time, there'd be a certain point in your life where you're going, I'm bored after travelling this much so much. And packing out of a suitcase, living out of a suitcase for a while is a little bit difficult as well too. So yeah, it's what you say is it's got to provide some challenge in your life, and doing this kind of stuff gives you that bit of difference in your life to live. And furthermore, we're still young, so there's still a lot of us in there wanting to pursue and be entrepreneurs too. You mentioned also too about assistants. Are they virtual assistants that you hire, or are they local assistants that you're working with?
Well, we've sort of built up a little bit of a team. I know, again, this comes back to the idea of people painting this picture, and you look at someone like Eben Pagan, and he's really positioned himself as creating this massive business, this $30 million plus business that works through virtual employees solely. For me, it doesn't work as well because I find there's some efficiencies that I lose when someone's not here in the office with me. So what I do is, the way that I've structured it is we have about 4 people here in the office that work with me, and what they're working on is they're really managing, either doing things that are very difficult to outsource because my brand is so deeply entrenched in it. For example, a lot of the video stuff that we do is in-house, and obviously all the copy and sales messages and all that sort of stuff is in-house, but mainly and graphics is done offshore. But the way that these 4 guys in the office work is they then have assistants underneath them. So that's when we outsource, and we've got another sort of few guys over in the Philippines, person in the States, and they've got an additional couple of freelancers who just help us with odd jobs as well. And I've pretty much, here in the office we'll have a project or 2 that we're working on. Then each component of that will go to the assistant here in the office that sort of manages that particular area. So be it graphics, be it video, be it whatever, and then they then manage it through their assistants underneath them, where we try and outsource that. So the process really starts off with me in the office having the intellectual IP, then teaching the people here in the office the way that IP works, and then the aim of the game becomes how can we take that, systematize it, and get a system in place where we can then outsource that even further. So the work starts with me, and then it gets dripped down the line with the ultimate goal of getting it over to somewhere like the Philippines and having a system in place which constantly increases the value of the guys here in the office and my time value as well, because the more I can push those things down, the more I can delegate, the higher level stuff I can begin to work on.
Absolutely. And do you currently manage these assistants through a project management system, or how does it all work? How do you get work delegated out to the right people? Because obviously you've got a team there, a pretty big team there to be able to manage too.
Yeah, so the way that we do it, we run everything through Basecamp. That's for monitoring, and working with the virtual team. There's a lot of different things that we've learnt along the way. Like again, Evan Pagan's got some really good ideas, and with his end of day emails, when someone finishes up a shift, they write down exactly what it is that they've done, and they'll tell you any issues or problems that they've come up against, and then anything that you can help them out with. And having those end of day emails, we log that through Basecamp, which is a central way so that if more than one assistant, like a virtual assistant, is getting communicated with more than one person here in the office, everybody knows exactly what the thread is and where people are up to with different things. So that's why we use Basecamp as that central place. We have our team meetings here in the office once a week, and we talk about the different projects that we're working on. And from a day-to-day point of view, I'll chat and chat with the guys here in the office. Here's what we're working on. Here's what needs to be done, and check in with them. They then manage that with the assistants and the virtual assistants, and the virtual assistants work in Basecamp and log a lot of their stuff through Basecamp.
Okay, that's really cool then. So you've got pretty much a project management system in place. You've got virtual assistants and also a team of staff in the office with you, and you basically have the projects all managed within office or in the office and basically delegated out to them. So
spot on.
Okay, good stuff. And also too, I just wanted to sort of get a better feel of, firstly, you've now talked about moving into another business, which is SEO Melbourne, that you've just recently launched, and you said that there was a demand from your stock market business that you had there. How are you managing, say, two businesses? Say, for example, an entrepreneur like yourself currently has two or three businesses running at the same time. Where do you focus most of your time on, and how are you managing the time that you've got there? Because obviously you've got split businesses to focus on.
So the primary roles that I see that I take are the hiring role is extremely important, and I think as a CEO and entrepreneur, that needs to be something that someone really focuses on. They need to be making sure they're getting the right team on board, because once you get the right team, it just makes everything work so much easier. So we're just talking about hiring A players, and if you want to get up to speed with that, just read Brad Smart's book, Top Grading. That's a good place to start for hiring people. As far as like the way that I split my attention, I think this is something that where a lot of entrepreneurs go wrong, and the reason I say that is because I'm guilty as charged, is starting too many fires. The best bang for buck when it comes to your time is to make sure that you have a really single focus, and that's something that we've been working towards here. Look, I'm trying to strip out so many different parts of the business that I have been running, so I can really focus and make sure that the things that I am working on all work synergistically. So we had a big back catalogue, as part of my SEO days. We registered, 530 odd domain names, and we built them up and had them, all with unique content, and we were trying to put them across multiple IPs and all that type of stuff. And it was just taking up too much attention. And then I decided, right, we're actually just jumped. I've got a broker here, Ryan T. Malone, who's my Flipper broker, and we're selling these sites on Flipper. The reason I tell you that story is so you understand that what I'm trying to do here is cull all of that, so my focus can be really tightly narrowed. It'd be silly of me to drop the stock market niche because we have such a good following and we've got a product line and it's very automated and it's just easy. Like, I mean, we just did a product launch recently for someone else in the stock market niche, and they weren't really familiar with product launches. So we pretty much ran the product launch and did like an exclusive product launch to our list. And that launch was just, you know, what you could expect just a small business would make just off that one launch. So I'm not just going to drop that business, but my attention is starting to shift and try and go into more Melbourne SEO services, because the biggest thing that I've noticed, and just recently I've got a business coach and we talked about this, being an entrepreneur, a lot of what you'll find you'll do is you've got these big spikes of profitability, and this comes from, you know, product launches and things like that, where you'll see you've got your baseline of sales that come in, and that might be at a certain level, and then every now and then you'll get these massive spikes. So, and that's great. The thing is, it's not focusing on building necessarily a business. Like, it's good you've got the baseline of sales, but the aim of the game really should be to build a business, and which is why we're focusing in on Melbourne SEO services, where we're targeting. We're going to go after 12 clients. We're going for high-end clients who understand that as long as we're getting them a positive return on investment, they're happy to spend as much cash with us as they like. And that business that we're building is going to provide, because quite high-end clients provide more than enough money to fund our operations here in the office, with the overheads and staff, and then have money over and above that. And then that money that's over and above, that's what we'll take and look to invest into other businesses. Because, you know, my passion being the entrepreneur is starting and growing businesses. So we're thinking of, you know, evolving into being like the Warren Buffett of the online world, where we're buying web businesses, building them up, taking our expertise. We've refined the systems with the clients that we are working with, and those clients will pay for that overhead. So I think we're shifting away from the stock market stuff. I'll never let it go completely. But advice for anyone who's watching this, the more that you can strip away and have that single focus, the better you'll do.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've spoken to a few entrepreneurs in the past, and depending on what the circumstances and what their goals are in their business, I guess, say, journey, some of them just want lifestyle, so they design a business where it just runs and ticks over without much intervention. And then there are really entrepreneurs out there who just want to keep building new businesses and being involved in the businesses and growing it and so forth. And I can see that that's the path that you're looking to head down, which is to grow those businesses and to create large ones there to be able to go through, which is really good because, you know, it's something that I think you can take from both angles. You can learn from each other because it depends on what you want in your life, and it's all a personal preference. For example, Mark Lindsay, he's got a very successful SEO company up in Brisbane and a lot of clients all across Australia. He tells me he works 12 hours plus a day because he loves doing it, but also too because he's got to also work with the clients hand on hand. Whereas we were just talking about Yaris Darak, he only probably works 2 hours a day, but enjoys what he does. So everybody's entrepreneur journey is really different, and everybody's goals are different in life. But it's really good to be able to learn from the business aspects on how we can all apply those same principles. And as you said, just focus on one thing at a time rather than have yourself split up all different areas. So that's really good. Any parting advice, I guess, in terms of for other people who are wanting to start up a business and where they should look at starting first? Like, say, maybe 3 tips of starting an internet-based business.
Yeah, okay. The first thing I'd say is get clear on, like, it's good to work on something that you're passionate about. So I'm fortunate that marketing is my passion, so I can then apply that to any niche that I go after. Like, I really enjoy that. So it's a good idea to work in something that you do enjoy. As you said earlier, and you hit the nail on the head, it doesn't really... Mark Lindsay can work 12 hours a day because it's something that he enjoys. I can work the longer hours because it's something that I enjoy doing. So make sure that it's, firstly, something that it is that you enjoy doing. Make sure that you pick out that niche. Once you've picked out the niche, the best thing that you can do is create the avatar, the idea. This is something that I've been thinking about more so recently, and a lot of people just don't do it. The idea of finding out, once you know that niche, pick a person and create a model around who that person is, write out, how old they are, what their biggest issues are, what are their socio and demographics as well, and get really clear on that so you can get inside their head, and then make sure that you create a product that fits them, that they want. So you want to make sure that whatever you create, rather than a lot of people, and this is just age-old marketing stuff, the idea, don't create the product first and then look for the market. Look for the market, then create the product. So get clear on that. And then my other piece of advice is make sure that you build a smart business model. This is where I see most people going wrong. They'll set up an ebook website to sell a $17 ebook, and that's their business. Think about how you're going to structure it over the long haul. And what I would think about is, make sure that you come up with a front-end lead generator, which is your low-end entry type product that will introduce them to your product line. Typically, at your second level, which might be the higher level priced product. The front end lead generator may be either free or $7 or $30 or something down that low end. Anybody can jump on board. The middle tier, you're kind of looking between the 97 up to $500 or $600, and then build out that product line, and then beneath that try and see if you've got anything else that you can add into the mix, be it continuity or coaching or something like that. Now, I suppose I'm talking a little bit more about a service-based style business there, but just plan out what your business model is first and make sure that you're doing more than just a $17 ebook. So yeah, pick the niche, plan out the business model, and then make sure that you focus and get a little bit of an action plan together as to what it is that you're going to try and execute and how you're planning on building that business, and then just start biting off small pieces of that and do a little bit each day. Always think in your head as well, how can you increase those efficiencies? So if there's anything that you can outsource, that's always a smart idea. So make sure that you start off by outsourcing those regular menial tasks as quickly as you can. So if it's checking your customer support, if it's doing your books for your accounting, whether it's all of those type of things that could very easily be outsourced, and especially if you don't enjoy it. I say keep it if you enjoy it, and then outsource it if you don't.
Absolutely. That's something that I think a lot of people have starting to learn, and also a lot of the audience that I know, they're learning that if it's not necessary, eliminate it as much as you can and automate the process as you can. It's all part of streamlining your systems. Actually, there's one thing that I wanted to also ask you as well, just for tips as well, for people who got website businesses, and you're the expert in SEO as well. If people have a website and they want to get it up on the search engines, say for example when they're just starting out for a new website or whatever their business is, any sort of takeaway tips that you can give them as well in terms of SEO to be able to just help them rank better? Maybe five tips on how they can do that. Just give it some parting advice on that too. Yeah.
Well, with SEO, there's really two main components. You've got your on-page optimization and you've got your off-page optimization. So on-page optimization really is quite simple, and when you think of the SEO pie, it probably makes up about 20% of the SEO pie, and off-page optimization makes up about 80% of the SEO pie. So the things that you do for your on-page optimization, the most important thing that you can do is really get clear. This is why I said to identify who your avatar and your target market is first and get that clear, because for on-page optimization, where it all starts is selection of keywords. So making sure that you're selecting the right keywords means you have to get into the head of the person who's searching. And once you're inside their head, really think about what it is that they would be typing into Google to find your products and services. And then you start to identify those keywords, and there's some different tools that you can use, Market Samurai, or if you want to go free, just search on Google the free keyword tool or free Google keyword tool. It'll come up number one. Identify a set of keywords that you're going to go after. Rather than drilling down super deep how to choose the keyword, just choose a good variety of keywords, both some competitive keywords, some medium competitive, and some very long tail keywords as well. Then do your on-page optimization. Optimize one keyword per page. So don't ever try and do multiple keywords per page. Make sure you put the keyword, and these some terms may or may not be familiar to your listeners, but pass it on to your web guy, he'll know. Yep. Just make sure you put it in your title tag, your meta description, your meta keywords. Now, there is debate. The meta keywords at the moment isn't really playing an impact on search engine rankings, but it's, it doesn't hurt to put it in there, so put it in there just in case the algorithm changes one day. Then go ahead and put the keyword a couple of times on the page. Don't fret too much about trying to have a certain keyword density. Just put it naturally on the page a few times, particularly early and often. So if you can have it in the first paragraph, have it in the middle, have it near the end. Try and have about 300 words on the page at least. And then, put the keyword, if you can, in a title tag, in an H1 tag or something like that. That's the basics of on-page optimization. There's nothing too new or flashy there. Then the second part of it is doing your off-page optimization, and that's where the bulk of it comes. To get the best bang for your buck for building links, best bang, stock market term. To build links the best thing that you need to do with off-page optimization, it's all about building links back to your website with the appropriate anchor text. So you build links back to your website with the keyword you're trying to optimize for. You want to make sure that you also vary those keywords as well, because what we're trying to do when we're doing anything SEO is make sure that you're replicating what happens in nature. So it's natural to have all of your links coming back to your website from WordPress blogs. So don't exclusively use one particular method for link building. So look at other methods for link building, everything from posting on e-zine articles to press releases to blog networks if you've got access to those, blog comments, other article directories. And you want to create a system, a process that you can have automatically executed, because SEO happens over time. It's not a hit and run type thing. You don't just do SEO and forget about it. You continue to build links. So for that reason, you need to create a system, and this comes to the outsourcing stuff, and listening to any of Tyrone's stuff will get you up to speed on how to outsource correctly. But all you need to do is get that system in place, and then make sure that that's continually executed, and those links are built in a natural, organic fashion. At the moment, the big takeaway as well, big sites win. The more pages you have, the better. So as John Reese said, the more pages you create, it's like another ticket in the search engine lottery. So bigger sites are winning. That's why e-commerce sites rank so well. And I know there have been some slight changes recently with the Mayday effect, which was a change in the algorithm recently. But the fact is, still big sites are working, and you just point links to the web pages that you want to have ranked. So I suppose that's SEO in a nutshell. There's a lot of stuff there. I think a lot of people can really get caught up in the details of it as well. It's all sexy to try and game the search engines, but if you go out there, create a good quality product, and then just do good quality white hat link building by getting articles out there and creating videos to help promote, because I think one of the biggest, easiest ways at the moment to drive traffic back to your website and get rankings is through video. So what you're doing here, Tyrone, spot on. Just whatever niche you're in, find out some experts in the particular niche, interview them, and try and do it in video, cut it up, optimize it correctly. All that on-page optimization stuff that I just talked about applies equally the same over in the video space. and then drive all of that traffic back and get the easy rankings back to your website.
That's excellent advice. I know there's a lot of content there, but probably replay this if you need to listen to it again, because Dave's just given so much good stuff there. All right, awesome. Well, David, I thought before you do head off, how can people get in contact with you if they want to find out a little bit more about your services and probably get in contact with you too?
Yeah, I suppose there's two main places to go. If you head over to davidjenyns.com, so that's D-A-V-I-D, Jenyns, so it's J for jelly bean, E for egg, N for Nova, Y for yellow, N for Nova, S for Sam.com. And I say that just because sometimes it's hard to spell.
Okay.
So, or just Google my name and I'll come up that way. And if you want any sort of help with SEO related stuff, head over to melbourneseoservices.com, and we've got loads of free videos and we run workshops and that type of stuff. But
excellent. I'll put those links also down in my blog post as well, and also on YouTube. So if anyone wants to get hold of him, they can just click on those links just below this video. Well, David, thanks so much for coming on to the interview today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I've learned a lot from you too, and I'm sure that the listeners also too have gained a lot of great content from you. So thanks again today.
Cool. Thanks, Tyrone. See ya.
Excellent. Well, if you want to hear any more of these additional podcasts or anything like this as well, just hop on to tyronshum.com and you'll find plenty more interviews and podcasts like this. Well, that's it for today. My name's Tyrone Shum, and I'll see you next time.